Cam Underwood joining us from State of the U to talk Miami football, of course. And we kicked around this topic, Cam, with a number of bloggers across the country, and we're going to serve it up for you. All right. Looking at the current 2017 Miami football team, who's the best player for the Canes right now?
The best player right now would probably be, I'm trying to go down the roster in my head. So it's not going to be a quarterback. It's not going to be a fullback because we have like a tight-ended fullback. Wide receiver, it could be. Offensive line, no. Defensive line, we have some options there. Linebacker, they're good, but not yet. And secondary, they're rebuilding. The best player right now, I'm going to say, is R.J. McIntosh, the defensive tackle. And I know that some people like Kendrick Norton better than they like McIntosh, even a defensive tackle. I know Ahmmon Richards is really, really, really good. But yeah, I just think that McIntosh is the best player right now. He's got the whole combination of size and short area quickness and strength that you need. I mean, he's not a blazer, but I mean, you don't need a defensive tackle to be running in the 4.3s. But, for a guy who was really high school basketball player, and especially for linemen, that's like a negative in the eyes of many if you're a high school basketball player, just because those guys tend not to be physical, especially at, you look at guys on the outside, like a Joe Jackson, like a Brian Burns at Florida State, like Julius Peppers when he was at North Carolina. You look at those guys, and Julius Peppers was he was a hoss, but you look at him as not maybe being that interior Vince Wilfork kind of physical. But yeah, R.J. McIntosh, he's big and he's fast enough for his position. He's good and got developing technique, and I really, really like him as a player, and I think that he's the best player right now on the Hurricanes roster. I think that people are going to disagree with me, but as we hit a couple of these other things, maybe you'll see where I'm coming from and why I put R.J. McIntosh there. But yeah, right now, if I had like the number one pick on actual ability right now, not on potential, not on future, but right now, drafting off this team, I'm taking R.J. McIntosh first.
Now, I can't dispute or confirm the selection because of my lack of knowledge of the interior defensive line of Miami. Most of my information comes from you, aside from watching the games. But I like the pick because you didn't default to a skilled player because you can go automatically to the numbers. I think a lot of people do that. Best player, it's got to be a running back, a wide receiver, the quarterback, because I can spew off the numbers immediately unless somebody's just an unbelievable Derwin James kind of defensive player, somebody of that ilk. Otherwise, they default typically to a skill position player because it's easy to see, caught 75 passes for 1,000 yards. Okay, he must be the best player. So I like the selection there.
Right, and just to back that up, I think that if you ask me this next year, I think my answer is different. I think it would be Ahmmon Richards. And Mark Walton is also in that conversation, as the best player. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it are the guys on the other side of the ball. And I think that Miami's front seven is, if not the best in the country, it's no lower than top 3 or 5. So, I think that R.J. McIntosh is the linchpin there. He's the anchor inside. And, yeah, that's what I'm going with.
And it's the most difficult of the major sports to distinguish a best player because the skill sets are so varied as opposed to baseball. Everybody bats, everybody fields. Basketball, everybody passes, rebounds, and shoots. So they have different positions, but they do the same thing over and over and over, as opposed to football, wide receiver, defensive tackle, completely different skill sets for the most part.